I'm sure you guys know that June is Pride Month, which, to my memory, we started celebrating either because of the Stonewall riots happening in June or because gay marriage was legalized in the month of June in 2015 in the US on the federal level. So for our Pride flower garden, I have 6 different flowers here that are historically and culturally significant to the queer community. And we're going to start off with roses. So I'm going to put this to the side. I want to make it like a rainbow, more like a rainbow instead of just whatever. So, and we're going to be using watercolors. We're going to be using our paint markers here and my trusty, lovely, beautiful, amazing Sharpie pen. I like the Sharpie pen more than regular pens because it doesn't bleed if you put it on water or like watercolor paper. So I'm sure you can, if you can tell that these are inches, I don't actually have a really big piece of paper with me. That's usually how I like to do these classes though, because it means that if I have less surface area to cover, then I don't have to spend that much time on it because we only have an hour. So we're starting with roses because they're closest to red in our rainbow. So we're starting off with red, and then we're gonna do pansies for orange and yellow. So I actually really, really found a great sort of technique for illustrating roses. I'm gonna mix in a little bit of this orange here too. So we have this color here on the side. And I'm going to bring you guys in. So I'm going to start, I guess, like in the top right or maybe the middle right. And I like to just start with a little dot and then I work my way around like that. So I'm using a pointed brush tip, and as you can see, I don't know about you, but I think that looks like a rose. A rose just like you is. It's a reference to fences. I always think about I always think about fences when I hear the word rose, because that's one of the names of the characters in that play. The character that's played by, oh my goodness, her name is escaping me. Goodness. So the reason why we're painting roses in our pride garden, just to just to move on along, is because in the transgender community, there's a very common phrase that goes like, please give us our roses while we are still here. Because if you don't know, it's very unfortunate that trans people are actually murdered at very alarming rates, and I believe they have a life expectancy of like 35 years. Um, and roses are usually associated with like mourning because you put roses on someone's grave. And trans people would like to receive their roses, basically their recognition and their love while they're still alive, to cherish it. There we go. We got like 4 roses there. They're pretty cute. So we'll just leave those. And we're gonna move on to pansies, which are these flowers here. So we'll probably do like the pink one and the orange one. I think that's a good. So I think first for these pansies, I'm gonna wipe off my brush from the pink that I have on it. For the pansies for now, I'm just going to place yellow down as the bottom color. And then later on, we'll swoop back around and we'll add our pink and our orange to it. So for our yellow, we're going to do like 5 petals basically. And they're kind of round. It kind of looks like a clover until you add the other 2 petals, of course. So this one's funny because pansy for a long time was like an insult for gay men or men that dressed flamboyantly. But it was actually started by author Christopher Luby, who wrote Flowers of Manhood. And basically, he sort of compared male to male relationships and courtships like as being similar to the process of flower fertilization. So that's where that comparison really originated from. And because pansies are so bright and colorful, that's the one that I guess stuck in people's minds like the most when it came to sort of like describing gay men. So we're depicting some pansies. Right now they're just yellow. They're like yellow stars basically. Next, we are going to have our green carnations. If you know your queer history, you know that the writer Oscar Wilde popularized wearing a green carnation as a gay symbol in the late 19th century to sort of signify to other gay men that you were also gay. Because for a long time, and in a lot of places still today, it's not socially acceptable to be a queer man, like openly. I'm actually going to lighten up this green quite a bit because I felt like that was a little dark. I don't know. And we're just going to make it like a blob, I guess. Like really wiggly because the petals of carnations are like super like lettucey, like super wiggly and stuff. I don't know how else to describe it. We'll have 2 there. And then we'll do some lavender now. And lavender is interesting because it has been associated with both gay men and women. For lavender, I'm gonna dip more into like blue. I mean, of course it's gonna be purple, but I have this sort of blue violet here in my palette, and if you only have 8 colors, which I'm pretty sure everyone at the library only has 8 colors, just mix in blue and purple. Make sure there's like a little bit more blue than purple, and you should be good. And you just use like the clear part of your watercolor case here. I'm gonna dip into this lighter blue, add that to my mixture. So now it's like really nice blue violet. So for the lavender, we're gonna have it like we're gonna do I'm using a smaller brush and we're just gonna like back and forth all the way up and down. We'll have it like curve around a little bit. We'll do another strain. So in like the 1920s, lavender boy was used as a term to describe gay men, and men that were deemed to be not masculine enough were accused of having a streak of lavender in that time. So that's the association with men, but with women, the association of lavender came from lesbian women wanting to be included in the women's movement in the 1970s. So, yeah, like there were t-shirts made in the 1970s worn by lesbians that said Lavender Menace on them, sort of about signifying how they're using their queerness to disrupt the status quo of heteronormativity. So those are our lavender little thingies. Maybe we'll do like one short one like that. And then last but certainly not least, it's not last, fifth is going to be our violets, which actually has a very, very, very long history of being associated with lesbianism because it goes all the way back to ancient Greece and the the poet Sappho lived on the island of Lesbos. So that's where we get two terms, sapphic and lesbian. And she often referenced violets in her poems to create an association with female love. So we're gonna dip into a more purple here, but I do want it to be a bit lighter. And we're just gonna make some blobs for our petals. We're gonna do one more. Some violets don't, or like the pictures I was looking at, they don't really have like a consistent number of petals. So this one has 5, I guess, and this one's gonna have 4. So the lesbians and violet history goes way back, like thousands of years, literally. So that's pretty cool. So dude, check it out. We got like a little rainbow going on. It's pretty cute. And speaking of rainbow, our last flower is going to be rainbow roses, which I think is more of a modern, I think it's more of a modern symbol because it originated with Woodstock and like Love and Peace in the 60s, but it has now been transformed into a symbol for the queer community as a result of Gilbert Baker's Rainbow Pride flag. And they're basically just tie-dyed roses. So for now, I'm gonna put them underneath here, but I'm also going to make them in just yellow because those are gonna be our most complicated flowers to make. So, and it'll be the same technique as the roses. So if you had trouble making the first round of roses, you can just watch me do it again and like pay close attention this time. It's gonna be like lower down, I guess. Like the key with the petals, I guess, the thing that I do is I make sure that like there's no petal that goes all the way around the rose. And then like the next petal that would start wouldn't start right where the last one ended. It would sort of like overlap, if that makes sense. So now they kind of look like golden roses, I think. I also definitely got like green in my in my yellow, so I'm just gonna take a paper towel and like clean that out so that I don't have to have like a muddy yellow. I want it to be bright like this yellow. And I'm using my thin little baby brush for it. So we're just doing a little arch of roses here. And then we'll probably have one more rose. Yeah, so these ones are going to be the most involved out of our. The reason why we're doing yellow at the bottom is because it's easier to work from in the order of light to dark. Um, and if we were to start with dark first, it's harder to lighten it up. So, you know, I in these illustrations, I added a lot of like leaves and stems, and I don't know if I kind of like didn't plan for that this time around. Like I have less space for that, but I also like the placement of these flowers a lot more. So, oh, dropped a big blob of paint water there. So I think we're gonna do like some stem work, some leaf work. It's very loose. So for for the roses, roses have these like pointy leaves and they're kind of like round in the middle. So I'm using a light green because again, we're working light to dark. If you just have regular green, you just mix in some yellow. Yeah, I think that's good. pansy leaves are like more irregular. So I start with like a curved line and then and for these guys, definitely want to have like the bulb going. So I might dip into some darker green so that I can tell them apart because I can't right now. And carnations have like very thick stems. Carnations look very similar to roses. They're like frillier roses, basically. We're just gonna draw some little green stems where the lavender is. And then for our violets, I think the violets have pretty straightforward stems. I don't know. Going back to our light greens. And then we'll add some leaves to our rainbow roses down here. So I guess you could call this phase one. What I'm gonna do with these roses is do like the lightest of washes. And by that I mean like way more water than paint, like way more water than paint. And I'm dipping into like the mixture that I made earlier, but like I said, way more water than paint. And like now that the paint is should be dry, and like very gently go around in the rows, even with just clean water actually, and like fill in these white gaps. Because as much as I think it looks really cool, um, these are supposed to be like red roses, so. And if you feel like the definition of your petals has faded away, like mine certainly has, don't freak out. That's what we have the markers for. So yeah, dog. Now we're going to actually I'm gonna use the same color for probably say like this pansy maybe. Yeah, probably that pansy. Could find my skinny brush that I was using. So for this pansy, we're going to cover up with a lot of pigment. We're going to cover up like the top 3 petals. Sort of like bring it to the center like that. And we'll add like a thin line around the bottom 2 petals and like maybe some little baby strokes. There's definitely more yellow on the bottom. And then next we're gonna do the same thing, but with orange on the top. And I do recommend mixing in some yellow with that orange too, just so that it's more obviously orange and not like closer to red. And see now, like we'll be able to cover up that bleed that I got from the rose there. I basically just cover up the yellow that we had underneath. Same technique. This pansy we're gonna leave yellow, so I don't know. Maybe we could like really water down this orange just to add some like dimension to it. And we're not even gonna fill in the petals for real. Like we'll just do something like that. For our carnation buddy here, what I want to do, so I have green on the tip of my brush, and I want to like get rid of as much water as possible. So just have like the paint on it, like the pigment, less water, more pigment. And do some scribbles like that. But honestly, I'm kind of over it. We'll leave that for we'll leave that for the marker. I don't like how that's coming out. We could do something with these lavenders here. Could dip into some purple and add some depth in that in that corner of the V's that we made. We made like a bunch of little V's. Also, by the way, speaking of marginalized groups, I hope you guys went out and vote today. I think there's still time. You can vote at our Will and Riverfront libraries, and I think your local school too, in Westchester County. We have our primary election today for our district attorney and our district congressperson. I already voted early last weekend. I've been very, I've been paying very close attention to these races, so yeah, make sure you guys, if you're eligible to exercise your rights and freedom to vote. These are the elections that matter the most, in my opinion, more than federal or even state elections. This is a very local election. It's for our district of New York 16, which is Westchester and some of the North Bronx, like Wakefield, which I live very close to. Yeah, so we're adding in just some, some little some little something something so that it's not so like pastel. And then, so I actually used for that, I used my like blue violet color up here, but for our actual violets, I'm going to use actual violet, which everyone at the library I know should have on their palette. Like just straight up, we're just gonna straight up use the violet color for our violets. So what we're gonna do is kind of like add wrinkles. I don't know how to describe it. I'm gonna outline our petals here, and then we're gonna add like, they're not wrinkles, but they're like veins. Kind of like veins, yeah. You see how nice it looks? Because I got more pigment than water on my brush. Like I basically have just enough water to move the pigment, but not too much to where it creates like a little puddle. I'm being very gentle and delicate here with that. And so to repeat the process, I'm just going to swirl my brush around in the violet again. And we're going to do the same thing for the other flower. So this violet's going to be kind of tricky because we're going to have to put in some yellow in the center. And like I said at the top of this, the lighter the color, the harder it is to add on top of darker colors. And because violet and yellow are opposite colors, they're also opposite in like lightness and darkness. So yellow is the lightest color and purple is the darkest. So it's going to be a little tricky. It might look a little bit muddy, but as long as we do it while it's dry, it should be okay. If you're at home and you have some acrylic paint, you could use like a little bit of that or like some gouache too. Some yellow gouache would do the trick and it won't be as muddy. If you want to get fancier. But my goal here is to keep these lessons as simple as possible. All right, so the last thing we're gonna do with our watercolor, and then we're gonna put them away, is just add some of this definition to our leaves. So I'm going to take like regular green and like slap it over there. And I'm gonna mix it with some of this blue. And like add more water. You could do it with regular blue too. You just have to use less regular blue. So we're basically going to be adding veins to the leaves like that. And for this, because I want like a straight line, I'm going to rotate my page around wherever I may see fit to maximize comfort, you know, for my hands. Okay, this is looking so cute, you guys. This is looking really, really cute. We're done with our watercolor. Close the case. We're done. I mean, unless you're still working on it, but like I'm done. So moving on to my markers. We have these at the library. If you look up, if you open Amazon and you look up Tan Mitt dual acrylic marker, you will find them. $10 for the 24 pack, which is what I'm using. But I got these for free at the library provided by Nork. I think first of all, we're going to use this hot pink for our roses here to sort of like redefine. Actually, no, we're going to use red. We're just going to use red to redefine our like ridges that we made. Any of them that sort of got like lost in the sauce, so to speak. That looks so beautiful. And I'm sure you can tell that I'm like rotating. Can you see my hair in the frame? What's my hair? Like rotating the page.
Yes, we can.
Yeah. Rotating the page around to match the rotation of my wrist. It's easier to rotate the page than to rotate your entire body around your table or whatever furniture you're using to draw on.
Say, look at your screen.
What's up?
They're
Oh,
trying to show you in the library.
hi. Hi, Lily. Hi, Marianne. Oh my gosh, wait. I can't make it bigger. Can I make it bigger? Hi, guys. Oh, that's so cute. We're not done yet, though. I'm not done. I got 15 minutes. Got 15 minutes, you guys. We are going till 5 p.m. That's why we're doing this on Tuesday, so we don't have to rush out of here. Oh, yeah, so about our roses down here. Let's actually do that first because I think that's like really important. And yeah, let me just like rummage let me like rummage through this really fast so that we can get that done. Yeah, so here we're using red, pink, orange. We have our yellow painted already, so green, blue, purple. So starting from yellow in the center, we're going to take our brush tip and go in with that orange, dog. And it'll be orange, like in the center of our guys. Same method that we did for our flowers up there. We're just doing it a bit tighter. Excuse me. After orange, we have red. So I'm gonna do a little bit of red. This is to sort of emulate the like tie-dye rose look. Then we're going to do pink. And see, because our yellow is underneath, it's not really like clashing with any of the colors that we're putting on top of it, especially when we get here to where I like actually cleaned my yellow palette. And we're using this pink really to be like a smooth transition color for the next color, which is purple. Because red to purple is a bit of a jump, but if we add pink in between, then it's more soft. It's less abrupt. Especially because this purple is so dark. But I don't have a lighter marker, so. So we'll just do like a little bit of purple. And I'm like I'm like barely touching the paper with my marker. Then we got blue. Get some blue in there. Heck yeah. So that's our blue, and then we're gonna go in with our green, which you might be hoping is our final color, but it's not. Because we're gonna go back around to orange to sort of tie it all together. And like give an outline to these roses. Those are our rainbow roses. For our green carnations, because those we need to really do next. We're gonna take our green and we're gonna do our little squigglies. Very tight, very squiggly. Basically around in a spiral. And you see how much it looks like different than the roses, I'm sure. Similar but different because they're not the same flower. Because our squiggles are more wild. We are going to use some black for our pansies. So if you don't know, pansies have like a that. They have that. I don't know what that's called. They have a black center and then like a yellow more center. And delineate where the petals are. Look at that. Look at how easy that was. And um, we gotta do something similar but harder for the violets. So we're taking yellow and we're gonna put a big circle there. And we're gonna do it again, but while we wait for that, we're gonna take our Sharpie and we're going to outline everything. I'm going to rotate so that I'm not dragging my hand across my work just to avoid any smearing, although it shouldn't happen. You never know. It's better to be on the safe side, I think. And I think this kind of line art is more fun if you don't perfectly follow the paint that's underneath. Gives a real sense of like motion to the pieces, to the flowers. Or the rose leaves, they're like spiky along the edge. So that's how I line them. So we line the roses. You can see the difference between the roses and like the rest of the flowers. So we did that. So I'm going to add another layer of yellow to our violets over there. And then I'm going to continue on with lining our pansies, which is very easy. Basically just lining around. Like that. And then we're just going to line around the carnations. We're not going to line inside of them like we did the roses because it's a lot more complicated in there. We will use our line to delineate where the petals end and where the stem begins. But that's about it. For our lavender, we're just going to basically like line all of our little I'm gonna use my brush tool because the paint is a little thick and it's like getting in the way of the Sharpie pen. No, I don't like that. It was too thick. So I won't do it. We're gonna line the inside of our violets here and like delineate our petals again. It's like when I glide the Sharpie pen over top my I don't even know if I need to outline the petals because they're already so dark. I do want to put some orange in this bottom piece that I just marked though. I got some, oh, look at what I did. I knew I was going to smear something. What a shame. Could I salvage? Could I salvage? Sometimes you have to salvage your work. Sometimes. That'll have to do. Um, the only way for me to line these is if I go out further than where the paint is. So maybe like that. I like the way that looks. The last thing to line would be the colored roses down here. I definitely would do like the spiked leaves. And I already showed you how to line these roses up here, but we can do it again. This time, I really don't want any black on the inside of them because I want the rainbow to shine, so I just want it to be clear, like where the rose petals end and begin relative to each other. And sort of like that, you know? And then at the bottom, you could write pride, flower, garden.